Hello, this is a Friends Journal video author chat, and I'm Martin Kelly, and with me today is John Calvi. Hello, John.
Hello, Martin. Good to see you.
Good to see you here. And let me read your bio from the article. John Calvi is a Quaker healer with a gift for releasing physical and emotional pain. As a certified massage therapist specializing in trauma, he began working in the AIDS epidemic, giving massage in the early 1980s. John is the author of two books, The Dance Between Hope and Fear and How Far Have You Traveled? He is a member of Putney, Vermont meeting, where he lives. And you have a website, johncalvi.com, JohnCalvi.com. So glad to have you here, John.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's so many nice um, metaphors that you have in your story for this month, in March of 2024, as we're recording this. Um, I just want to read one here and start us off. You write, like sitting in meeting for worship, we can strengthen the muscles that let us be still and not hear ourselves. One's capacity to listen without thinking comes to that quiet place of wonder and awe. And I just love that whole idea of listening without thinking. And whenever I talk to someone who's new to Quakers or, they're interested in Quakers, they are thinking about coming, they're like, oh my gosh, a whole hour where I just sit still. How can I even manage that? So tell us a little bit about these muscles and strengthening them to do this.
Well, I think this is a very interesting time to be a Quaker as American popular culture becomes more noisy and becomes more aggressive, flashing lights, overburdened schedules, uh, people having to work much harder to put a life together and provide. Um, and Quakers sitting down into the silence is absolutely contrary to all of that. And in order to sit down in the quiet and not be hearing yourself and not be hearing the noise of the world and be listening very tenderly to see if there are messages coming through, to see if something in particular is being brought to you, to consider, to ponder, to learn more about. Um, it takes muscles of concentration, which is very different from multitasking.
Yeah.
Multitasking, you're trying to get a whole bunch of things done and keeping your eye on several moving pieces. Whereas in meeting for worship, sitting in the silence, we're looking for one thing. We're looking to release everything that interrupts us from listening to a higher power, to listening to the cosmos and what the universe has to bring to us, for us to consider, and especially for us to learn from.
Yeah, you talked about multitasking. There's this feeling I have of like empty tasking, maybe we could call it. Like when you're in like a line at a supermarket and you have like a 5 minute wait. I mean, it's this tiny little fraction of time. And yet I feel the urge to get out my cell phone. Let me see what's happening in the world. And really, do I need to do that? Or could I just sort of observe the people around me or maybe chat, or maybe I could see someone needs a little bit of help? Um,
Yes.
do you do this, and is there a way even outside meeting that we can sort of keep ourselves from being too distracted and to be present where we are?
Yes, well, you're absolutely right. The cell phone is a driver of a great deal of this rhythm and of this pattern. Um, I think one of the benefits that I have is that I went to massage school for a whole year.
Mhm.
And when you are giving and receiving massage every day for a whole year, one of the things that happens is that you begin to notice you have a body and you begin to notice how the body is feeling and where are you carrying your tension and how has your posture changed and have you had enough rest and what you're eating is that too stimulating or is that what you actually need right now, not to mention hydration. So I'm very aware of what my body is doing. It's what massage therapists call body educated.
Mhm.
And seeing as how I have taught massage and energy work, to thousands of Quakers over the last 40 years. I hope especially during this very tense time of political intrigue that people are using what I have taught to massage themselves and to come back down to center and to lay off the noise of the world as often and as completely as is possible for them. I know we're all very busy and life is full.
Hmm. But still nice to have that time when we do notice.
Yeah.
And I've recently been reading a whole bunch of Quaker sort of older ministers, but not even super old, just 20th century of just noticing that they have prompts in everyday life just to do something a little differently, and it leads them into these kind of adventures that they might not have found elsewise. And so I'm trying to keep conscious there, where I don't just try to distract myself all day long.
Yes, it's a discipline and it's a piece of work, and it's something that we have to apply with a great deal of mercy.
Yeah.
If you're noticing that you're gathering lots of tension or you're getting stuck in some emotion which is not healthy for you, it's a good idea to be able to notice your own off ramp and have a discipline that you develop for yourself that says, "Oh, okay, I'm going off the deep end of that, and I don't need to do that. It's not good for me. So I'm pulling back towards myself and finding some nicer path to go."
Um, you talked to another metaphor that I really liked. You talked about learning to lean into a gut feeling about how to proceed, a kind of surrender, but also a strong sense of rightness, uh, which also just opens up all sorts of questions. Like, how do you know when to trust your gut? How do is your
Ah,
gut telling you to do something you shouldn't be, or
yes.
is that the direction? So tell me how that works
Yeah.
for you.
Well,
Or is there a story here? You're
I'll,
laughing. Maybe it's not always a good
well,
guide.
I'll tell you how it is for me, but I honestly, I have had such an extreme experience that I can't honestly recommend it for people. I think finding light, finding path is a very individual thing that has some commonalities among us all, but I think it's also very individual. So I certainly don't am not recommending my path, but I'll tell you, um, I began to hear some voices, and I began to, when I began to touch people, my hands were heating up. And at the beginning of this work back in 1982, my hands heat up so much that my palms began to peel. And I could feel other people's pain passing out of them and through me. And it took me a while to learn that if I relaxed myself very much, that pain would not pause within me, that it would just move through very quickly. And if I was too tired, or if I was nervous, or if I was frightened about the amount of pain that was moving through me because the trauma had been so fierce, then there was the possibility of that pain getting stuck in me. And the spiritual guidance that I received was, you have to stay tender. Yes, I know you're in a prison. Yes, I know you're in a refugee treatment center. Yes, I know you're in an emergency room and you're witnessing all these things, but ignore them and go into your tenderness. And as long as you stay soft, you will be able to share this gift of releasing pain following trauma. And, that was pretty special.
Yeah, sounds nice. Um, Another story you told, which I actually mentioned in my introduction to the issue, was of a time when you felt your gifts, your ability to heal, your ability to see deeply into others, disappeared. Um, Tell me how that was like, and what is it, what does it do to you, and how do you sort of move through that? And I also just it reminded me of, you hear stories of saints and things, either official saints, of some church, or people who we just think of as saintly, who do have this kind of time of darkness where it feels like what they have and they've known, it's not right there immediately present. So how was it for you?
Well, I like to think that I'm well thought of, but I want to make it clear that I don't portend towards saintliness. I have
Well, I wasn't implying that, but
no
still,
interest in
sure.
it. But uh, I had a heart attack. Was it 2 years ago, Marshall? Yes. And it was a mild heart attack. It was a heart attack that a doctor had to tell me about 3 days later. But one of the results was that I became very weakened physically within my body, and I've had to do a lot of work to regain strength. But I also found that quite suddenly, I was no longer receiving messages about the nature of pain in other people. I was not being told that this is my work to remove. I was not being told that this person is not ready for me to work with. All of those messages stopped. And I actually had a very curious thing happen where as soon as I saw someone who I thought needed help and I began to experience my own compassion within myself, I
Mm,
felt an ache in my chest. Now, it wasn't my heart telling me not to participate. It was an energetic ache, not a physical ache.
right.
And so I had to remove myself entirely. My radar for other people's experience was shut down completely. And it's only within the last year that it's slowly begun to come back a little bit. I have about 10% of the energy in my hands now that I had maybe a few years ago. And I don't know if this gift is going to come back, whether it's going to come back slow,
Mhm,
or whether I am a medically retired healer who is now at a writing desk and working on a third book.
mhm,
Um, I ask what they have planned for me, what my tutors and angels and spiritual beings around me, what they have in mind for me. And they are playing their cards very close to their chest, with which I don't have a lot of patience, I confess.
yeah,
I'm not that good at change.
you're not good at
I'm
retirement here, right?
yeah, I'm much
Here for
better at
retirement.
other people's stuff,
Yeah.
rather than my own, of course. So that's essentially my experience. I'm trying to be graceful with it. I'm trying to learn from it. But I can say it at 71 and a half. Part of me is a little bit angry that this is going on. And of course, my good friend Eleanor says, well, we're all aging and we're all losing bits and pieces.
Oh,
And men have a harder time with that than women. And of course, she's absolutely right.
you found you had a ability to take healing when you were in a position where you needed it even more than perhaps you normal? Or if that
Oh,
happened, how did
my
when people prayed
capacity
for
for
you?
yeah, my capacity for receiving is really wonderful.
Okay.
Yes, I can lay down and receive and have energy work from friends and relations, and yes, I have been well taken care of. And of course, I had to learn to receive, which was difficult
Hmm.
when I got up to my armpits in giving. If you are going to be working in a crisis, your own crisis or someone else's, and you're going to be doing a lot of hard work, you suddenly have to get better at receiving, at resting, at getting help from other people in order to keep your balance. So it took me a long time to learn that discipline, but I certainly have.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing this. Are you public about your book that you're thinking of writing? What are you working on now?
Well, my first book was about healing from trauma, The Dance Between Hope and Fear, which came out in 2013, yes. And I was very happy about a wonderful Quaker, Shelley Angel in Dallas, Texas, was able to help me put this book together. The second book, How Far Have We Traveled, is talking about having a sense of your own goodness And having that sense of your goodness can help you in your own healing, and it can help you in helping other people. And this third book that I'm writing is a memoir,
Okay.
where I went from surviving a very violent early childhood and then later becoming a Montessori teacher and then moving into my healing work
Mhm.
when I was about 30 years old. And that transition all along the way.
That sounds like an interesting topic to explore. So I wish you well in this. Yeah,
Thank you.
and hope we see it. When you're done eventually. I know that's probably a ways away, but to send it on to us for our book reviews would be great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Great, John. Well, thanks for being here with our audience here, our readers and video watchers today. Um, and I wish you well as you keep traveling. Earlier, you were telling us that you were traveling back home. So I hope you have safe travels on your way back home.
Thank you very much, Martin. And thank you for all your good work and all the people at Friends Journal. It's a wonderful piece of work, and I'm glad you're doing it so well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.